Ottawa. Simon Thwaites was a master seaman analyzing radio signals and surveillance in a secret branch of Canada's Navy in the 1980s when he was summoned by investigative officers. Strapped to a lie detector in an interrogation room, he was asked by two officers if medical records showing that he had contracted HIV meant that he was gay. Mr. Thwaites confirmed that this was the case, and not long afterward his security clearance was revoked and he was assigned to work as a janitor. Eventually Mr. Thwaites was forced out of the military on a medical release without benefits, lost his house and filed for bankruptcy. "We were treated like something was wrong with us, but none of us did nothing wrong," Mr. Thwaites said in a telephone interview from his home in Truro, Nova Scotia. "We did our jobs and we did our jobs well. It kind of undermines your sense of self." Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau plans to formally apologize to Mr. Thwaites and thousands of other members of the military, the public service and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police who faced discrimination, lost their jobs and, in some cases, were imprisoned because of their sexual orientation. Some of the victims are believed to have killed themselves after their careers were ruined. The apology, which will take place next Tuesday in the House of Commons, is another step in a review the Prime Minister began last year into how to acknowledge the harm but by what is sometimes called the gay purge. Working on the theory that gays and lesbians were vulnerable to blackmail by the Soviet Union, a special unit of the Mounties began its efforts to remove them from the public service in the late 1950s. The program continued in the military up until 1992. Mr. Thwaites' reassignment as a janitor came in 1986. The Mounties and military police conducted extensive surveillance of gay bars in several cities and used threats to extract the names of gays and lesbians. During the early 1960s, the National Police Force commissioned a psychologist to secretly build a fruit machine, a failed attempt at a homosexuality detector. There is not a single known case of the Soviet Union or any other country having blackmailed a member of a sexual minority into turning over Canadian government secrets. Because the military in particular has blocked access to some reports on the investigations, citing national security, it is unclear how many people came under investigation and how many lost their jobs or security clearances, or were demoted. Several groups place the figure at about 9,000. Mr. Thwaites, 55, has been invited by the government to watch the apology from the gallery in the House of Commons in Ottawa. But the limited income provided by a disability pension means that he will be viewing on television at home in Nova Scotia. Mr. Thwaites said he will be listening carefully to determine if the apology is acceptable. He said, "It's possible that it might not cover a lot of bases." Mr. Trudeau has also promised to introduce legislation by the end of December that will expunge the criminal records of people who were convicted of engaging in homosexual acts. Mr.